All set? Okay, call to order in a roll call at 7:00 PM in the town hall in the Dave Babbitt conference room. This is about the PZC sidewalk meeting that was taking place on June 14th, 2025 at 9 AM. We will all, I'll take a roll call first and then we'll, I don't see a flag.
I don't see a flag in here.
No flag in here.
Yeah, that's okay. I'll stand up and be the flag.
Oh, there it
There we
is,
go.
okay.
All right, Joseph Brody Brown, no. John B. Lanky, yes. Brian Canoia. Here. Alvin Hill,
Yes, yes, Melvin Hill present.
is on Zoom, Mike Krugel. No, Russ Robin,
Someone. I'm here.
Jane Salcy,
Here,
Ray Williams,
Yeah,
Brian Santos.
I believe he is on his way, but running late.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Randy Blackmer. Kai Zor. Jason St. Ons and Dave Poplowski.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, what we're gonna do here for this here meeting, we're gonna be discussing what was sent to us by the Town of Thompson Board of Selectmen. And Mr. Beausoleil is here to reiterate is the best way I can say it about what was requested for us to do for this sidewalk meeting and other stuff.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just to clarify, that is not what your subcommittee meeting agenda read. Your subcommittee committee meeting agenda read a discussion of the maps and any markup of the map. Your 824 referral discussion.
Yeah,
That's gonna have to wait until the meeting
regular
next week.
meeting?
Yeah,
Okay.
this
Yeah,
is
no,
just to decide what you want to do about the maps,
yeah,
right? Because you can't take action on it.
No, well, I
Subcommittee.
wasn't planning on action. I was just trying to get set a thing that this is what brought this about, how it started.
Fair enough.
It's not, we're gonna discuss
Yeah,
it, just this is what we need to know, having a meeting, that this was brought to our attention by the Board of Selectmen. You know, just to show people that, you know, we just didn't do this, but doing it, okay?
Okay, no, that's fine.
Oh, go ahead, Mr. Beausoleil.
Okay, here's how we came about this. Mr. Jezierski requested it. It was more than 2 lots. Anyway, situation which automatically gets referred to decide what to do with the property, whether to get rid of it or not. While we were on that subject, because we have 90 to 100 lots up in that area, I should say parcels
Okay.
up in that area.
You hold a minute. Mr. Santos entered the meeting at 7:05, 7:02, 7:03. Thank you, Mr. Santos.
So there was a discussion and I brought it to everybody's attention and we had a discussion on it and they send it down to you guys for review. Once word gets out, you know how property is moving, it's getting scarce, they don't make it anymore. There's a ton of it up there, you're up into the lake area. Once people get wind that stuff may be available, they come out of the woodwork and start inquiring about it. And instead of going about this thing and every time a piece of parcel comes up to send it off to you guys, let's do a review of what the town owns up there, whether it makes any sense, whether we keep it in conservation, whether we put it together, make saleable lots, whatever the case may be. Get some input from P&Z because, you know, the town's been sitting on this thing for decades, getting nothing from taxes on it. And with land being a premium, you get a developer, you get somebody that comes in.
1 minute, Mr. Beausoleil.
Mike Krogel enters at 7:04.
Thank you.
You
Go
may
ahead,
proceed.
Mr. Beausoleil.
You know, and we talked about it that night. Meeting. You know, if the town is gonna, you know, town holding paper, not getting taxes, the stuff that you put X number of parcels together in order to have billing, depending on your zoning regs, then the town should reap the benefits of having sit on it instead of somebody coming in and, you know, scoffing it up and town does not get anything. Or we keep it in conservation. So we ask for a nice review from you guys, what the intent is. and what would make the most sense for the town. That way we can put it to bed. Yes, there may be 5, 6 parcels that make sense. But somebody, you know, because we've had parcels that have gone off in the tax office. One piece surrounded by 3 people, went out for bid because it ain't worth anything. And we got rid of it. But we could put something together, keep it in conservation, whatever the P and Z thinks may be appropriate for the town. It would be a big benefit for the future, and we don't have to keep going through this every 6 months, 2 years, whatever it may be. With the whole.
So that helps even more of what's going on here. Thank you, Mr. Bothway. Yes, go ahead, Ms. Commissioner.
Okay, by this map, which thank you, Ray, because this is much clearer than putting pieces together. And all the search that you've done on here, so the ones that are green on these maps are the ones that are solid ground, not necessarily on the water or near the water, so those would be sellable, correct?
That's
Up
just,
for bid, up
that's
for bid.
just my opinion.
Okay,
The ones in yellow are everything the town owns. The stuff with the orange around it is within the wetlands. And the ones I marked green were the ones, in my opinion, that the towns, if we put any up for sale, them were the ones my opinion was to put up for sale.
okay, another clarification, if I may, Mr. Chair, please. You have a few green ones that are marked 15, 26, 38, 27. Those are not near wetlands because they're not circled.
I'm looking, here I am, I got my
Yeah.
map right in front of me, I'm looking at,
Yeah, so
what color are they?
it's, I guess we're calling this yellow. It's a highlighter,
Highlighted yellow.
highlighter yellow.
Okay, what block are you looking at?
15, 26, yeah, yep, Greenwood and Ridgewood.
Yeah,
Okay, so they're not marked off with the brown, so they're literally not next to the wetlands, correct? Okay, because that's what I figured when we walked through. And the same thing over here on block 10, you have an area that is not enclosed as far as wetlands goes, correct?
yep,
So,
but half foot,
go ahead, no, go ahead.
Go ahead. Finish what you're saying, then we'll go right back to Ray.
Okay, because with the ones that are just all highlighted in yellow and nothing around them, they're basically on dry land, correct?
correct.
Okay.
But, okay, now on that block 10,
Yeah,
when you get into number 15 and across from that is 3,
yeah.
that's a 20-foot drop straight down into the sand pit. That's the same.
Okay, that's the sand pit. Okay, all right, gotcha. Okay.
Oh, no, wait a minute. No.
Oh, the sand pit's over here.
Right, yep, no,
On
them ones
Birch Ave.
there are on the side of it, that orange.
Yep.
That orange should actually go through 3, 15, well, 3 and I think 14, and it goes back. That's still wetlands. That's in back of the house where they just put the swimming pool.
Okay,
That's all wetlands over there.
Okay.
That's behind where Willie Savini used to.
okay, all right.
That's in block, correct? You're talking about, that's underwater?
No, block 9's underwater, but
Yeah.
block 10 is half is underwater too. Almost
Okay.
3/4 of that is underwater.
Okay,
I didn't, I should have did that. And actually, the ones that weren't owned by the town, block 4's got some wetlands. Block 3, I don't think, I know 4 does, but we didn't own any of that. So the town didn't own any of that.
You're saying block.
That's
10.
right.
Block 10 has wetlands right in back of that guy's house where he put his swimming pool.
What about?
Wait a minute, I'll mark that in red for us.
oh, good, yeah.
So what about 12, 13, 14, and 15 underneath that? You know,
On the side of it.
on the side of it.
So in other words, you got block,
Block 10, 3/4 of that is wet in the wetlands, and if you go by what the wetlands, being the top 10 waterways, because on 200 Center Street, there's a pond there, and that's where that stream comes down, and it runs all the way down right to schoolhouse. So, so that's in the wetlands, it says that it's any tributaries of that is also a 200-foot right away, 200-foot. You get a special permit, I guess, for it, but it's still within it, because it's not 100-foot for wetlands, it's 200.
Yeah.
I'm not understanding this. So you have block 10 there.
Yes, block 10, I did not mark block 10 for the
Block
wetlands.
10, I'm
Right,
circling
okay.
block 10.
All right, but so the 13 and 14 and
15 and 12.
12, so you're saying half of those are in wetlands?
Yes,
So then why don't you just do the whole thing? I mean, they're so small, you're not gonna be able to build on them.
correct. It should be marked all
Yeah, so the
wetlands.
whole thing should be marked.
Right,
So,
but there is a house on 7, 8, 9, and 10.
Yeah, that's where the red, I just marked red, Cynthia, so the house is right here on 7, 8, so it's just in front of it.
And that's
Yeah.
Jersey, right?
No,
No,
no.
Jersey's up at this end. Okay,
Right.
yep.
Mark all
Yep.
this.
All right, everybody, let's just go by block, so
Yep. But
we can
that's the
change
only
it.
mess up that I didn't do, that I messed up on the
Nobody's
wetland.
perfect. Okay, and actually,
I got a
I just
question.
want to remind you again, you did one hell of a good job with the walkthrough and everything.
Well, thank you.
We wouldn't be where we are right
Yeah,
now. Well, let's just,
Absolutely.
tonight, people, let's just stick one thing at a time. Let's don't try to jump all over this map, because that's when we're gonna get confused. So we're on block 10.
Mhm.
Let's figure this one out, and then we can go to block 11 and work our way all the way around. I don't care if we do finish tonight, oh, so be it. If we
Mhm.
do not, we got another night to do this.
Can you call that? Tara? Can you bring up the wetlands thing for?
It's already up. It's already up. So in the parcel map system, the pink,
That's Oakwood
Is
Avenue
wetlands.
and Maple
yeah,
Avenue.
so this is, if I'm looking at your map correctly, these are the lots you're currently discussing.
Correct, yeah.
And the cross hatching, the black and white, that's the NDDB database. And the pink indicates the wetlands profile.
Mhm.
I can zoom.
Well, see, on the
out,
map I
see.
had, the map that I did that's on the town website showed all of them in the wetlands.
Well, it's possible I'm not far enough over. Sometimes these are a little.
Oh, no, behind that NBBD, there's, you can see the maps. It's pretty much the same thing.
Either way, the parcels are constrained in that area. This
Mm-hmm.
is the original parcel that we were discussing, which is
Yep.
Jezerski. So, in terms of what matches up to your markup, if anything, I would say some of the lots that you've identified as potentially saleable might also have that NDDB constraint. But I looked at all of these ones. I didn't look down here today. And I could clearly see why you thought this one, right? Because it's in between two privately owned
Correct.
parcels.
Well, they all are, that's why.
Right. So it
I
doesn't
can
really
give you
do
the
any.
names of the people that own them parcels.
I'll look them up if I need to. But the point being is that it doesn't make them any extra compromise than what they are. You're talking about, what are the size of these lots?
80 by 40, most of them.
40 by 80.
Some of them are 40 by 100.
Right, so you're really not in a position where any of them are individually buildable. Yes, they can add on to an abutter's property, but if the abutter already has property in that NDDB area, you're not really adding any new compromise to the
Right.
landscape.
Can you, is
In
there a
block
way you
10.
can pop the front of that camera off? I just got
Yeah,
a text that is
16.
showing down.
Is that owned or town owned?
It's got a
Which
loose-
one?
16 in block 10.
No, that one is actually
I don't
going up
have-
for auction. Minnie Brown owns that, and they haven't paid taxes on it in 10 years. I found her obituary, and the only people in
So
her,
it's privately owned.
yes. The only people around, she's got a niece and nephew from Douglas.
Mr. Santo, is that better?
Eric, can I borrow your green marker, please? Green, blue, black, whatever.
Excuse me,
I
I
was
couldn't,
just looking at the table, but Can you hear me?
Yes,
We can hear you, B.
Can you guys hear me?
yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Uh, I can see you guys. Since you guys just gave me the floor, can I ask a question?
You may.
My question is this, and actually, if I think it's pointed to Kenny mostly. Are you, the selectmen, asking us how to go about selling the property, not why we wouldn't sell it?
Brian, our discussion was, because you weren't here at the time, because of the parcels that were being requested by Mr. Jezierski abutting him. As you know, your mother-in-law lives up in that area. You know how many parcels the town has throughout that area. Once word gets out that the town is willing or can inquire, that people are gonna come out of the woodwork, do a review, keep it in conservation, put parcels together that would constitute something that would be saleable. We've been sitting on this thing for decades. We have not drawn any taxes from it. We don't want, the town does not want to be taken advantage of if somebody comes in and says, I'm gonna put X number of, swoop in and buy the land. So we've been sitting on it. It may be buildable, it may be not. This is a good time to review all of this and know what we have up there, so when these opportunities come up, we can say, nope, it's already been discussed, it's not on the table, or yes, this
Sure.
can't be done, and this is yes, no, or what.
Go ahead,
I'd
Jeff.
rather get ahead of it than
Be behind.
Okay. One more final question. You keep on saying that it's in conservation. Is any of the land that we're talking about in conservation? Yeah, I know, but that would cost the town money. That would cost the town money and to put in conservation, correct? To make a conservation.
If we were putting it in permanent easement,
Well,
you'd have to draw.
Well, we're not to that point yet.
I just wanted to give a little extra
Go ahead.
context based on Brian's first question. So there's two things going on here. The first is the specific referral from Mr. Jezierski. That is under a statute called 824. So we keep calling it an 824 referral. And there's a local ordinance. And that specifically says that the Planning and Zoning Commission must weigh on specific requests. The second piece, and this is less standard, right? The Board of Selectmen has asked you guys as a commission to make an overarching recommendation for these parcels in this area. But that's actually not binding by statute. That would be in an advisory capacity. The selectmen could actually decide to say, nah, that's not what we're going to do. It's unlikely that that's what they're going to decide to do because they've asked for the referral. But it's more in your capacity as a planning commission than a zoning commission. They do sometimes have separate functions. So this would be exercising your planning commission in an advisory sense. Now, in terms of this meeting, the agenda is the discussion of the maps. And I agree with Jane and everybody else who said it. Ray's maps are excellent. So what I would suggest is, unless somebody has either more lots that they think should be eligible for potential 824 referrals, or conversely, unless the argument is being made that none of them should be put up for bid, I actually think you've already done all your hard work, but that's up to you guys.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Jane.
Okay, so my thoughts, looking at this and doing the walk and going in there, I had done a walk in there before. My thoughts on this, they're looking at these maps, and after being in there aren't that many lots that are buildable. to be able to bring them forward to even put them up for bid. The ones that are in the wetlands, and God, there's a lot of wetlands in there. They're not buildable, and I don't believe that they should be sold. In my opinion, my thoughts that those need to go to conservation to protect them, not only what is in there with the wetlands, but the habitats for the animals and everything else. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lots basically are good to go up to bid by looking at this map. And the rest of them, I feel should go into conservation. That's my opinion. And I would like to get that's what I think we should be able to do here tonight, is what everybody else thinks on it, so that we have a consensus.
Go ahead, Ray.
We also should look at the state recommendation when they did an ecological study on Cherry Swamp and Schoolhouse Pond, Little Pond. They also said that the building down there should be restricted. And the state said that. I got it, I got it on my phone. So, I can't see us, why would we go and do something against what they're doing, which actually, I think that lot that they just sold, that what doesn't even go with it, but with the Jezerski lot that they just split right on the water, and here they are squeezing another house in right on the water after the state went in there a few years ago and said that we shouldn't be putting no more houses on the water,
That doesn't mean septic. You're right.
Yeah.
I mean, and plus there's an
Yeah.
easement for water to
Septic,
go
yeah.
across there. You
Almost,
know what I mean?
yeah.
Here we are, we're gonna, possibly sell more lots and put more septic systems in on the little pond that's
No.
full of already full,
It's not feasible.
No.
it just don't seem right to me. And we get sent to that CLCC every year, about trying to conserve property. And I've been reading up on it a lot. These little areas like this connect to the big areas and the wildlife, not just deer. There's coyotes, there's bear that go through there, there's bobcats that go through there, deer and turkeys. They come all the way from the train wreck park. They come through the llama farm. They come through Babula's farm, and they come through here to get to 193. It's a big circle there. And then they actually end up going up to Pompeo Road too. You know what I mean? The animals don't stay in one area.
They cover
live
100
6
miles.
And we sell this and let everybody put houses in here. It's gonna really screw up the ecological setup of that corner of our town.
Yeah, a lot.
So,
If I may, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
It just sounds to me, and I just want to help you guys be mindful of each other's time and also just help you keep focused. It sounds to me like you guys have very close unanimity, close to it, on not wanting any of these lots to be developed. And based on, again, these constrained profiles in this area, I would totally in support of that. It's always been sort of a series of simple questions. Is it sell none, sell all, or sell some? And I think nobody thinks you should sell all. So the question then becomes, is it sell none or sell some? Out of what, 4 dozen lots, maybe
129.
129.
That's the estimate. I counted them like.
It's even more than I thought. You've identified 6. That's a pretty low impact. Again, totally reasonable. So if your consensus is sell some, is it these some, more or less, right? Because you're talking about your maps tonight. And again, you can't take action. So it's just to sort of come to consensus. But just listening to you guys, I think you've already achieved most of your consensus.
Well, how we want to do it, how to handle it going forward. That's the key right now.
Well, what we recommend to the selectman's office, and then they,
Tonight.
sorry, I interrupted you.
Thank you.
Long ass day.
This is what our goal is here, is to come to a good consensus. So when we do make our recommendation to the Board of Selectmen, then it can go forward. Now, how the board, like our Ms. Tara here has said, the Board of Selectmen can still make a change, whichever way they want. But at least the group of people that were there, we all saw it, we all kind of agreed with it, that was what we were looking at. Some of them were glad they went because they didn't realize what the impact would have been if we were just to look at maps and make a decision. You know, at least we'll be able to make a much better or conscious decision one way or the other. You know, what is best for the town overall? Just go ahead, Ray.
I just got one more thing I'd like to say, the kids around here, and I said this on Saturday, kids around here play at Riverside Park. The kids in this corner, that they hike in these woods, the adults hike, there's all paths through them. So the property is being used by town. People that live in the town in that area, people hike, go through them woods and the hiking trails are picked clean, from people going through them. It ain't no different, people by the dam going to the dam. The people on Schoolhouse Pond, just because it's tucked away into the corner, that the town property actually gets used by people of the town, of that corner.
Well, the residents or citizens in that area.
It's a playground, basically.
Well, and from what I gathered, because I remember, I'm going back quite a few decades, those paper roads, if you want to use that word, they were very visible. And I'm going back good, correct me if I'm wrong. Did you say your last name again?
Racine.
Racine, Mr. Racine. Correct me if I'm wrong. I remember going out that way and everything, picking rubbish and whatever. But the thing is, those were legible path roads, like a road. You could actually drive on. Now we were walking them, but they were somewhat maintained, like you just said, Ray. People walk it, they clean up the area because nobody wants to trip and get hurt. It's something, especially when you're out there. But it was a comfortable walk. I was comfortable walking it. Go ahead.
I got one more thing about that. It keeps being called paper roads. Definition. If you go to the definition of a paper road is a development where you got your map and the roads were never cut in. I got an aerial map from 1965 and every one of these roads were cut in, so they're not paper roads. And everybody calls them paper roads. And if you go by the definition, which, we should be going by the definition, then like that, I didn't bring that map with me, but I got a map at home just like this. It says, aerial map 1965, and every one of them roads are in.
So they are real roads, but are they public or private? And I think that was another question. My understanding is that those are private roads.
Hang on. Go ahead. Kenny.
No, that's all right. Go ahead.
You got the same situation up at Rose Landing, up through there. That's another one of those, the roads is all private. Okay. The sections up there.
Yep.
All right. And that's part of it. It's part of all of this. Anyway, what you guys are doing is exactly what the board wants you to do. You're coming up with the rationale, the studies that have been done, the wetlands, the impact, and what makes best sense for the town. So that way, if people come, unless it happens to be a couple of parcels that you identify, that, again, like a Mr. Jezersi, because he abuts it. The rest of it just stays in open space as we have it now. Nothing changes. We get an inquiry. Planning has already looked at this. We're not entertaining anything on this, and we have some guidance to go with. Perfect.
See, there's a piece on there, which I would have to sit back on. This lot number 6 right here in block 3 has been a corral for 40 years, and it's a town-owned lot. Dennis Parker had that for a corral for 30 years. My daughter bought that house from Dennis Parker, and it's been her horse corral for 10 years. You know what I mean? So now I'm gonna have to go up and argue with bid against somebody for a thing that's 40 years. I have to tell you the truth, I looked in for adverse possession to try getting it. And I should have kept my mouth shut about that, but it's kind of wrong for somebody to be able to come in there and try to buy that lot, put a camper on or something, that lot, or, you know, this lot right here, it's, you know, it's in between two different people, I know them both. You know, and somebody goes in there, it's just, not right, you know, but we will
Quick
vote on
question
it.
to you before I asked Mr. Santos to step in. You said block 3? Lot 3 or block 3?
Block 3.
Yeah.
What
lot is it?
6, right on the
Okay.
corner.
Okay.
I marked it off. I'm gonna, you know, if this goes up for auction, I'm gonna have to bid on it.
You
You know?
just needed a
Well,
little
my
bit of
daughter, well, it ain't
clarification.
no big deal.
Okay, we were just trying to get a little better clarification. Hang on,
No,
no.
mine's been up for an hour.
Well, we haven't
Another
been
hour.
here for an hour.
You got it right after Mr. Santos. Go ahead, Mr. Santos.
Thank you. There's a couple things. One, I think we should be focused just on what properties we're willing to advise the selectmen on to sell based on Ray's hard work. Secondly, when we do make that recommendation, as I recommended at the last meeting, I think we process those properties under a deed restriction to be able to collect taxes on those properties moving forward. And then the balance of them remain no process, no change, not put them under conservation for two primary reasons. One, conservation requires a financial commitment from the town in order to put those properties into that conservation. And then secondly, it is extremely limiting on what you can do with them in the future. And I don't have the authority since they own. Maybe in the future, something else changes and they could sell additional properties if I don't want to say authorized or at least reviewed with the planning and zoning in the future. So that's what I think should be happening.
Just so you guys know, Brian is, I believe, chaperoning the senior class trip, so he's
Mhm.
just on his phone right now. That's why he's cracking up.
Yeah, did you hear all of that or no?
You're breaking up, but we caught the gist of it.
But Brian, just wanted to bring it to your attention. We're not selling, they're not lots, they're parcels. And number two, they all have to go out to bid. The town cannot sell it. So what we're doing is we're reviewing this for the Board of Selectmen to put these parcels where whoever that wants to bid on them, you know, out there. So it can be 5 and 6, it can be 14, it can be 33. So, you know, just to make sure that you understand.
I'm crystal clear. It's on purpose.
Because if we keep saying lots, everybody's
I
gonna
want
think
them-
there's
I-
gonna be a 1 acre lot thing or something
That's
like
fine.
that, or half an acre.
Okay, parcel.
Yes,
Fine.
it's parcel.
I apologize for that.
No, you
technical
don't have to.
Parcels, it still doesn't change my opinion.
No,
Doesn't
I'm
change my
not trying.
approach to how I want to go about it.
Okay, I just wanted to let you know that, you know, it can be misconstrued if you keep saying lots. You know, people, oh, they're selling lots now. Oh, okay, we don't need that. Thank you, Brian. Anything else, Brian?
I'm good, John.
Brian?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Go ahead, Jane.
Okay, 2 questions. First, Mr. Boussalet, if this goes into conservation, is that going to cost the town money to put it into conservation?
Whatever deed recordings, whatever it may be, you're correct.
Yeah.
There's a cost associated. Right now, it's considered open space.
It's open space.
Because the town just owns
Town just owns
it,
it.
which means if it stays as open space, we do nothing with it, it stays the way it is.
Okay, but the other half of this, because I'm looking ahead. If we put it in conservation and lock it down in conservation, that means it stays in conservation, correct?
That is for your land use attorney to answer.
Yeah, some of these questions are best actually resolved by Attorney Roberts, but the answer, as I understand it, is very similar to what Brian presented. If we're using the term "put it in conservation," that is essentially a conservation easement, which would in perpetuity have recorded on, I mean, we could form it all as one big parcel if
Yeah.
we wanted and, call it a conservation area, but there would be costs associated with it. The legal cost of entering that on either multiple deeds or a deed, if you were
maybe.
going to recombine the parcels. It would be permanent. And future conservation agents or commissions would be responsible for
Yeah, and I understand,
periodically
yes.
inspecting.
I
and maintaining.
understand all of that. I get it. I'm trying to get clarification because
Sure.
I'm thinking down the road. If we leave it as open space, that means 50 years down the road, there's gonna be another zoning board here and another board of selectmen here trying to figure out what to do with this land. I'm trying to figure out the best way to preserve this land. After walking it, like I said earlier, the majority of this needs to be protected. And I just want to make sure that we're not just passing the buck on to somebody else 50 years down the road where they're going to come in and destroy it. Those are my thoughts on that. I feel that this land needs to be protected. There are the few parcels that can be put out to bid, but the majority of them should stay as they are and keep them as open space, but permanent, so that not another planning and zoning or selectmen or anybody else can come in and do anything.
All you want to do is.
An easement, yeah.
So you
yeah.
just want to try to protect as much as we can for the next 100 years, 50 to 100 years. Excuse me?
Forever.
Forever,
Well,
yeah.
an example.
Yeah, and those are my thoughts. Those are my thoughts.
So
Staff go.
I think there may be a middle path. And it goes back to the fact that the current Board of Selectmen has asked you for a recommendation. So if that recommendation includes very clear language that the Planning and Zoning Commission recommends that, leaving aside the 6 lots, that this land be
Protected.
held by the town in perpetuity and not sold. And if the Board of Selectmen chooses to accept that recommendation, they may, and I would have to check with the attorney on this, it could be as simple as the town writing an ordinance for this area that declares that it is permanently protected. Then technically it could still be rescinded down the line, but since an ordinance has to be voted on at town meeting.
It has to go to a town meeting.
Right, it would also have to go to town meeting to reverse it. So it wouldn't be as precarious as counting on, to your point, that 3 people on a Board of Selectmen 50 years from now may decide they don't care about conservation and they could reverse the policy. In this case, and I would have to check if this is an appropriate use of an ordinance, but I suspect that it would fly. And then you can avoid the specific costs of the conservation easement, and the additional work being put in that would be required of future conservation agents. It would essentially be the same thing it is now, which is sort of conservation by default.
Yeah, I understand all of that. I get all of that. Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
probably lower cost conservation, and I would have to verify all of that with Attorney Roberts, but I suspect that would work.
Maybe there's another need,
Good.
and the town decides.
Go ahead.
Provo's been waiting, and then.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike. Brian, you'll be next.
All right, I think all the blocks that are in the yellow should be put into open space, conservation, whatever you want, not put it on the market for any purpose. Instead of selling the ones that Ray has put into the lime green or whatever it is. And just keep these as open space. It helps the town meet our requirements for the
Yeah.
open space.
Yep.
Did you see what the state is requiring now? They want towns to almost be up around 20 to 25% open space.
So you know it's gonna be 30%.
We're actually
But I
the
think
lowest.
this should be put
Yeah,
into
right.
open space.
The state of Connecticut.
Yeah. Well,
And that's it.
Yep. Okay.
go ahead. You all set?
I am.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Santos.
The deed restriction paperwork I gave you guys last month allows for every single parcel to have a legal write-up. So if you wanted below parcels, if you don't want to be built on or remain open space, you make the deed restriction say that. And the other parcels of land that you do want to sell, you make those deed restrictions say something else. That wouldn't cost the town hardly anything. You would have to get 2 letters approved by Attorney Roberts, which I've already drafted.
And I do have those big.
I didn't catch the last whatever, did he? That's okay. So I was just gonna get, I was just
Did
gonna,
you? You're writing 2 separate deed restrictions, one that remains in open space and the other one allows for sale and then whatever limitations you would have put on it. Those are drafted already. I gave them to you last month. They wouldn't cost the town anything other than getting those 2 letters approved by our council. And then you could have your open space for the yellow and allow for sale of the other properties.
the lime green ones. Okay.
Well, we can't see.
I know. All right, Brian, thank you. Good, I read that today. On your, reread it today. And you're right on the money with it. I have to agree with that 150%. Ray?
Well, to put this into, to have something written up, it does not have to be surveyed. And with them, if, I know that all the money, if it gets sold, goes into the general fund, but if we request that money from these parcels pay for the legal fees, that there wouldn't be no money coming out of the town's budget to pay for this.
We won't know. We'll have to find out.
I mean,
Number one.
But it's an avenue to look at.
I can try to find that out.
Well, that's what I mean, is you don't know when you just ask the question. We don't know what the answer would be until we ask that. You know, that question goes ahead. You know what I mean? So.
But that could
that's
cover
good
it.
Food for thought.
Thank you, Russ.
yeah.
I'm just gonna call you Kevin. You've been biting at the bullet here for a little while. I'm sorry, but if you want, because you lived there for the last almost 4 decades, let's call it that. Your opinion on what you feel of that area, since it's like almost your home.
Well, the last statements you guys made, whereas the bulk of it stays the way it is, and those little landlocked, welcome to the abutters or whoever the highest bidder is, that's it. Handful of lots, not gonna make a difference, but the majority that are sitting off to the back and the side, keep that the way it is.
They're already in blocks. I mean, you know.
Thank you for your comment on that. You know, like I said, you're like the expert down there. You lived there that so long and everything, so appreciate it.
May I suggest?
Go ahead.
A couple of quick questions to put to the members of the commission that I think will resolve the only 2. So using the 6 lots that Ray carved out as being reasonable for sale. Does anybody here, just by a show of hands, because you can't take legal action at a subcommittee meeting,
Just say consent.
does anybody think fewer than those 6 should be offered?
Does that, hang on there, Dave, and you too. My question to you is that the 6 that you're pointing out, that includes the 2 from the first?
Nope.
Those are separate.
Separate from the 824 referral.
Okay. Because those are eventually gonna end up being almost like a 824, correct?
Well,
If we go down that path.
so the 824 referral is the one where you've had a specific request. That's
Request.
Jazewski, and there might be another one actually floating around out there. I think there is.
3 lots, I think.
Three
Yeah.
lots, yeah,
But,
I was asked the same thing.
Okay, so based on
Yes.
this markup, if you follow this as your guide, it appears that the commission is likely to recommend not selling those parcels. That is separate from the other 6, but unless some of these requests are out there floating around, are related to those other 6, once the policy is set, it's irrelevant.
Right.
You've got the policy, you know you're gonna turn down a referral on parcels that the commission has recommended, assuming that the Board of Selectmen adopts that policy. On the 6 parcels in question, as far as I'm aware, there are no specific referrals. Ray brought up an idea that I thought, are they on those lots? Okay, so Ray thinks that 3 of the lots in question have had,
Yes.
so that would come up as a future 824 referral.
Correct, that's what I was.
So there's 3. So there's the other 3. On the other 3, Ray brought up a very interesting idea, which again falls outside the statutes, but if you know that we would recommend that the town be able to sell those, can the town just have one open bid auction event on those? It's not the way the statute is written, but that doesn't mean it's impossible. But if it is not possible, then you would have to wait until you had specific requests, and then you would already know because your policy would be established that
Correct.
these lots are eligible. So again, just using this as your baseline. Does anybody here generally think that we should have fewer than those 6 lots available potentially for 824 referrals going forward?
I have a question
Before
around
anybody
that.
speaks on that, I wanna let Dave speak.
So
Sorry, but.
It's okay.
I'm gonna go backwards a little bit. I apologize. Maybe I'm just not following. So those 2 on the Jezerski, the original 2,
5 and 6.
we're not recommending.
That's up that's up for discussion. I myself did not think so. That's why I didn't mark.
And I agree, that's my feeling too, but in carrying that feeling over to these 3, I think that we have some exposure similar to here where we'd have to limit because they are so close together, they could be developed or something could, if they were combined, like Jezerski owns
Yeah.
another couple of lots, right? So if he got those 2, now I didn't go to the walk, I apologize, but is that the case here? Could these be combined to do something similar?
He already owns all this.
All right, so I'm less than 3. I recommend we do, for the record, 17, 67, and 6. The other 3, not those 3 that
Oh,
are
yeah.
together.
Got 2 17s.
I'm
When
sorry.
you say when you say 17, you gotta talk about which block,
Which
because you
block?
got 2 17s and nobody's gonna know.
Let's see.
You got block 17, 17, and then you got block 15, 17.
Yeah.
So this one,
Yeah.
I recommend
Block
this one,
17.
this one,
And
and
that,
this one.
those
Those
would be
3,
the one-
those are my 3.
and these, no.
No, it's similar to this.
Yeah.
Okay, hang on. Dave, so you're saying those ones you just said
But there was one more.
to recommend, but 5 and 6, no? Is that what?
7, 8, and 17, no.
Right here, these right
Steve, what
here.
do you-
Oh, those
Right
three.
now-
Those two,
Yeah.
yes,
Right now is 5 and 6. Do you recommend not to sell them or to sell them?
not to sell.
That's what he
Don't
said.
sell those.
That's what, that's a consensus. I'm not saying we're voting here, we can't.
You're gonna vote on Monday on whatever your.
Mine is don't sell those.
Okay, so Mr. Chairman, can I make a suggestion? We take those and go down and get the consensus. 5 and 6, ask how many are in favor of that, and we take them piece by piece so that we start to narrow it down where we all
I
fit.
was just gonna get to that, but again, I'm glad you brought it up, so I don't have to speak that much.
John? Dave?
Yeah.
So 5 and 6 on Woodland Avenue, don't. 17 on block 17, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now on block 13, 17, 7 and 8, you're saying no?
No,
Yeah.
Okay.
Cause those are the ones that,
contiguous that
Yeah.
could
Now,
be developed,
you're also saying on block 13, 67, yes.
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 Okay.
And then block 3, number
Ye-
6.
yes.
Number 6 on block 3, yes.
So basically what we're looking at here are 3 parcels that what we're beginning to get is a consensus to hand to the selectmen.
No, we can't hand it to them yet until it goes to a regular meeting. All we're doing
But,
is putting
yes,
this
I get
together.
that, John, but I'm just saying this is where the consensus is, that it'll eventually end up, that consensus will end up with the selectmen's office.
I got a question again, sorry, Dave.
That's all right.
Block 15. You got 7, 8, and 17.
Yeah.
Why would you not want, put them up for,
I believe someone owns all those lots in front of
Yeah.
those, so it would make that one, they could make that one big lot and develop it.
Yeah,
Unless then it's the town has, well, you got deed
But it-
restrictions and all.
But it would have to go up to bid anyways.
Still gonna go out for bid.
my question is there any wetlands or anything that interfere with those 3 lots?
I can pull the.
No, well, hang on, that gentleman can give you a better answer because he knows that area a
No,
lot better.
that's dry land. Rodney Brooks lives there. And then,
Hang on, Ray.
Brenda across the street owns the ones in the front.
Correct, yeah. That's why I wanted to put my hand up. I wanted to correct myself.
See, this is how we're finding out certain things. Because this is giving us a better idea, people. And
But
hang on, I'll get back.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that. I
No.
was listening.
my question is also for 7, 8, and 17 in block 15. Can you not put a deed restriction in if we were to get rid of them,
Yes,
that they are not allowed to build unless they meet certain conditions?
I would agree with that, but that's a cost to the town or I don't know.
The deed
Cindy.
restriction is easier.
Okay.
But you gotta remember too, we're also trying to unload some of these properties to make taxable income to the town. You know what I'm saying? So eventually it'll end up either zeroing it out or benefiting the town if we did get rid of them.
again, you're right.
These are the questions that I'm asking because, if these go up, you're saying no, but if these do go up for auction and they do end up bringing taxable income and there's a deed restriction saying, okay, you can't build on them except for X, Y, Z.
You can't,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? In other words,
Totally
if they already got something there, all they're looking for is, okay, if I get those two parcels or a third parcel, and then it gives them a little bit more wiggle room or, breathing room, but we can still, like what Brian had put out to us a month ago, that we need to utilize that and how we do the deed restrictions too at the same time. When we make our recommendation.
the money revenue we're gonna get off of those 3 little pieces right there, I don't agree with that. I think it's minuscule.
Minor.
Just, I don't think we sell them. I think we just keep, they're gonna benefit from them anyways. If we put a deed restriction on them, it's still gonna be open space right there. They're not gonna build on it, so they really no,
Put their
they just
hand on
can't
it.
cut trees.
Yeah.
But they gotta pay pennies. I mean,
On $23 a year.
Dollars on each of those individual parcels.
$23 a year on each one.
I don't know the exact tax
I know.
on it, so.
Well, see, that's another good point, people.
What about existing? What about the existing deed too?
The existing deeds go back to the original deed from the original landowner.
1954 or whatever it is.
That is when it was foreclosed on.
55.
And them, actually, they got, if you go back to the original deeds, you had to be white to live down there. I'm just saying, it's in the original
Not
deed.
trying to create a problem.
He asked about it, I brought it up. And, but to go back to the, his property, to go back to Rodney Brooks, his property is actually on the other side of Greenwood Ave.
Yeah,
okay.
that's where his house is.
That's his house.
Right, but he did buy Greenwood Ave, which my opinion, that was a bad affidavit, that the way that was purchased, because it's actually a street. And, so, he couldn't put that to his existing property because of that road, because there's people that own lots behind that to actually have, that's their right of way to get to their lots.
And he couldn't put a septic system on the other side of that road either.
Right.
He can't cross the road.
You can't cross the road.
Well,
Well,
if it's
go ahead,
public or
Dave.
private, right? I mean, if it's private, he can do what he wants. If he claims to own it or whatever, I don't know. I don't want to get into that public private.
There's too much.
It is off.
I know.
Let me know when you want them.
Hang on a minute, go ahead, Kenny.
Few lots that you identify as some potential to be considered in the future. You were also talking about your watershed and everything else through that area. Just because you identify those lots, does that still fall into that plan? When the state came in, the DEP and Board of Health and everything, that their report would say, you don't want to put any more septic systems in here. So based on all of that stuff that's going on in the future, those lots may be, just leave it as open space, don't even consider. But these are all the factors that you're putting into this information that is going to advise this Board of Selectmen and the future boards of selectmen and everything else going forward.
If it's put into the records that that's in there, because nobody's even seen any of that stuff until, started digging,
No, but I'm saying the reports that were done, that you've got whatever your aquifers and everything else that's through that area.
If that property is tied in with the aquifer.
It may be ill-conceived to expand any further. Now we've got all this information out. It's a done deal. It stays as open space, or yes, there's that.
Well,
These are the things that you need to weigh.
those few lots would probably be purchased by the abutters or not purchased at all. If they're not purchased at all, then they're just open space and the town can do whatever they
Stays
want with
open.
it. If the abutters buy it, if they want to, how big are they? 40 by
40 by
80?
80.
If they want to put a shed over there, that doesn't involve any digging or anything else.
Not
It
unless
just,
you put a
it just
deed
enlarges
restriction.
it just enlarges their yard.
Unless
They
you
can put a swing set there for their kids.
I think Mike's point is that there are things that can be done on those parcels that have no impact. Shed, swing set, and if the option of this commission is to sell with deed restriction, that is what the language of the deed restriction would have to clarify. Can't be anything other than an accessory structure smaller than 200 square feet. I mean, just as an example, but whatever. And I know that, Mike, you always fall on that sort of spectrum of wanting to give people the most reasonable amount of permission on their own,
I do.
on their own turf. But in this case, there is a strong, compelling interest that I think your fellows largely share, that the conservation value of the area and the constraints of the area would make it desirable to have some form of restriction. Again, the biggest concern probably being new septics.
Well, they're so small to start with that, and if you want to put a septic, it has to go through all the other boards anyways, and they'll say no.
We hope.
No, they won't.
You hope.
We
Why
hope.
are they gonna say no?
If they don't say no, then why are you restricting them? Let them do what they want with their land.
It's our
The
land.
only
We're not
governing
giving them the
body-
option. We're not selling it.
It's
We keep
it's
it.
40 by 80. It's
We didn't
almost
even
like
give them
these two
that.
rooms.
I stand with my 3.
Yeah,
That's.
Well, no, this is what your 3 is being, we'll consider it, we'll, make our consensus and everything, and then we go from there, and if in future something comes up, it's available, but it can't be touched until it goes through another process. Like now, planning and zoning subcommittee and all that other stuff to say yes, no, or indifferent.
Getting back to what you guys have done, which has been great. Anybody that comes into the town and starts looking at maps sees all these parcels
Correct.
and thinks that they can combine all of this stuff and create something. You're getting into the weeds and whittling this all down and narrowing this, that maybe this can be done, maybe it can't be done, the rest of it can't be done. Couple of parcels that you may consider that, because an abutter is there, it just enhances their property. If that isn't gonna be a whole new development with a whole new septic system, you know, and things of that nature. But when you start looking at that, 5, 6, 10 houses maybe with all those parcels,
Yeah.
people could conceivably say,
Yeah, because
okay,
there is,
but this is coming down to, it's not feasible between the wetlands and everything. So the 1 or 2 parcels that you may look at may enhance somebody that is the abutter, just makes their property a little bit bigger. They're never gonna put a house on it because it ain't capable of carrying.
well, yeah, it won't meet
It doesn't meet its zoning requirements of the septic.
and the NDDH, all that, that all comes into play, yeah.
But all of this information is gonna set the future.
Set the tone.
of what we can and cannot do over there and just put the bed once.
Go ahead, Sarah.
So I'm just gonna point out for you guys that you are at an hour. And do you feel like you need to discuss this in these sort of broad non-action terms further tonight? Or do you feel you have had enough conversation to, on your Monday meeting, a week from tonight?
Is it 2 weeks from
I
now?
said, I thought it was 2 weeks.
It's a week from tonight.
It's a week from tonight, cause I'm just gonna be coming
There's
back
5
from Pocono.
Mondays in June.
So,
Yeah.
23rd.
Yeah.
the 23rd is Monday. 23rd is Monday.
5 Mondays in June.
So what Cindy and I can do, if you feel like you all have sort of formulated enough of your ideas to be able to take action on Monday, Cindy and I can work on, not like a full discussion guide the way we do with the regs rewrites, but like a series of questions to ask and answer, starting with the 824 referral for Jezierski, moving on to maybe the individual 6 parcels for an up and down vote on whether those should be permitted for sale in a future policy. And then maybe something directed around the articulation of that policy. Because ultimately there's like little sub actions in each of this. There's the one thing that needs to be resolved, and I believe Amy did tell Mr. Jezierski that you guys would give him a decision one way or another in June. And there's the other parcels, which could be a part of the recommendation for sale or not sale, depending on your majority vote in action. And then there's the questions of some things to articulate into a broader policy, which obviously I would then write up for you, give back to you in the July meeting to see if you agreed with it. And that's another thing that you could discuss further in July. I mean, unless there's anybody here who feels like you haven't heard enough, said enough, read enough, but you guys have put a lot of work into this over the last 3 months, and you can't take any action on it tonight, so.
Well, you're right, we can't take any action, but that's what this whole thing is that we just, everybody's got a broader view of what needs to be done, so we're doing it correctly, and we won't have any P&M going on from outside. Okay, and that's
So,
the key.
Santos lost his connection, so
Okay.
he's out.
That's how I'm looking at it. So if we're doing our due diligence, we're showing, and let's keep it that way. And, like I said, let's wait till, what do you want to do? You want to do what he just, he did. I mean, Dave just said about, 3 lots, or keep the other 3 on hold, whatever, down the road. We can send Smiley over here.
It's such a small number of lots.
Yeah, but the
That
thing
you're
is,
considering, you can easily do an up or down vote on each.
we can do that. What are you in favor of that, Mr. Dave?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm gonna be out of town for the meeting, so
Well,
you
we'll
guys
send-
know how it would
Hey,
go.
we'll send the pigeon out to you.
Let me know.
You better just cancel the vacation.
It's not.
Go ahead, go ahead.
You know that I will
So-
be attending that meeting on vacation again.
Oh, maybe I'll try to Zoom.
Well, that's what I did.
So
First
the
year I
board
was
would
down in
know-
Florida.
About septic systems in tight areas like these, where this, as Mr. Bosley pointed out about the septic systems, they make tight systems. Tight systems can go in small areas where it doesn't leach into the ground, and they have to have a truck come in
Oh,
and pump it when it fills up to so much. So you might want to take into account about systems like that. And there's other systems that they could put in place for small areas. So in saying that, make sure you guys understand that even though these parcels we might put up or not put up, that septic, there are septic systems that they can use.
Yeah, but that's, again, I know what they are, that, it could be costly depending on how many in and.
Tank system is just a tank that you bring in,
Yeah.
concrete tank that's sealed up and you poop in it and you're done.
And you
And they only cost $2,000. So,
Yeah,
you know, they're not that expensive.
they're not that expensive, but it depends on how much it,
Some of
you
them
have
are,
it, the people coming to, to clean it out,
Self-contained.
you know?
They're not that big. They're only 10 feet by 10 feet by,
Yeah, but how
You know,
long will that
15
last?
feet.
What's that, 10 by what?
they make them where they're 1,000, 1,200, 1,500, 2,000, all the way up to 10,000
Yeah,
gallons.
but how long would that last if you?
Well, it'll outlast all of us.
If it's me,
Concrete
you
and
know,
sealed
I
up.
don't-
Say, no.
Before it's gotta be smoked.
You know?
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just
Mr.
pointing out
Chairman,
the fact that you guys want to keep in mind.
I asked you a little bit ago to literally go down the line to see what
We gotta
everybody,
get to it.
okay.
Your turn, James.
Well, y'all know where I
need that.
stand.
Don't hold that, I need that.
Need this?
Yeah, I need it.
Okay, I'm gonna start with Ray. What
Why
is
can't-
your consent?
Okay, copy.
Oh, my
Well,
God.
you're thinking, what,
I don't wanna know what happened.
What do I think about after hearing the room?
Yeah, you heard everybody. You've done the most work, so I think.
Tell you the truth, after hearing about that and thinking about. Have to look at my other map and see how many parcels that Mr. Brook owns that abuts these other ones in between these roads. Because otherwise than that, I would say the 3.
so you go with, what was the number? The three numbers?
The three.
Change
What
that.
were the numbers of the three?
17 block.
Hey, we wanna make sure we get this right, okay? Yeah.
Okay, we
Jane's
have,
gonna read them for me. Block 17,
I wrote it
lot
down.
17,
yep, 67
on block
on block 13. And then we've got block 3, number 6.
6.
Yes, after what I just seen on this, sorry, but after what I just seen on this, I would definitely only say 3.
One of the amended
three.
markups needs to
Yes.
make it back with Cindy or me to have them.
So, and the first one was number 17 in what block?
Number 17,
Block-
17 is 17. It
Block
is-
15.
It's block 15, no, I
You'll get it in, I'll
Okay.
write it out.
think it's block 17, right?
No,
Yeah,
block
block
15, it's lot 17.
Somebody kindly.
I've got
mark
block
down
17
here.
written
Yes,
here.
yes.
All right, Mike, Mr.
Oh,
Krugel.
he's talking now, no, he's talking this one,
I'd
yeah.
like to know the good ones.
The good ones,
This
which
one's
is
15.
block 17, lot 17. Lot 17, lot 17. Then you've got block 13, number 67, and then you have block 3, number 6.
Correct.
All
Okay.
good.
Those are the ones that we seem to have the consensus on, that those are up,
Right, 17,
up to
17.
parcels put up to bid. The rest of it, no.
Well, that's another discussion of another time. Mr. Krugel.
I say those 6 blocks should go up. Keep everything else.
Six.
The original 6.
Yeah, with the other
Right.
3 in.
With the other 3 in,
Yeah.
okay.
There you go. Hey, wait a minute, Mike.
The other 3 can be deed restricted. Can they not?
Any of them can be deed restricted
Okay.
if that's what you decide.
Those 6 to be decided at a later date and everything else to be open space. That's what I see.
Mr. Russ Robin.
I'd say the 6, because you can put deed restrictions on the 3 that we were just discussing, me and Dave.
Mr. Secretary,
I am with Ray and Dave on 3.
you are with. Okay.
You know where I am, I'm on 3. With Ray, Ryan, and Dave.
Well,
Santos
Santos
and Al
gone.
both dropped off.
Now, where do you stand? On your head in the corner? No, where do you stand on this?
I'm for the three.
Okay,
Mike, can I have that map, please?
And.
Either my right
Is there any other discussion here?
Kenny. This
You're
is
an ex
good that you can
officio.
take this, you can take this, tell them what, we're getting there and then we'll, at the next meeting, okay.
Can I have that?
I wouldn't say a word till it's done.
Okay.
This is gonna put it all to bed.
Yeah.
Future generations.
I think the important thing is you resolve the actual referral that you've had. You can take a little more time on the other.
With the rest of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But at least we can have an answer Monday night for Mr. Jajerski, okay? And however, how you type it in, whether it be new business, correct? Old business, I'm sorry.
Talk over how to try to put that in some kind of order for you guys to make it helpful for you at Monday's meeting. We can
Okay.
Figure that out
Alright.
over the next
We,
couple of days.
we expect our staff to do their job very due diligently.
It should also reflect the hard work that Ray did without all his
Yeah.
work.
Again.
This would be probably,
You know, I might get you a medal. I got one down in the scrapyard. I'll look at it for you.
Yeah, I was.
Considering that you went back to the deeds all the way back to the 1800s, you've done a lot, Ray. You have done a
You
lot.
know, and this is something, gentlemen, before I adjourn this meeting, is that we need to think about going forward with other things coming up. We need to do these sidewalks and stuff.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
have these subcommittees, because ever since we started this subcommittee stuff, it's been very helpful for us and it keeps everybody else off our backs a little bit, right, Dave? Huh?
We get in our own trouble.
We can get in trouble just standing still.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
And that motion would be to.
adjourn?
Adjourn.
I do have to make a comment, it was amazing.
What time you got there, young lady?
8:12. 8:12.
Amazing at the seminar,
Oh,
on Friday.
go ahead, you can speak.
Oh, Judy, we just adjourned.
Hey,
Come in.
just
I'm leaving. We're,
for myself, for the rest of the board, thank you everything that you've done. It's been a great help,
yeah.
without a doubt, because it took all of this hard work to get to the bottom of this. And it's just great.
Yeah, mine too.
All right.